Welcome to Sword and Shield, the official podcast of the 960th Cyberspace Wing. Join us for insight, knowledge, mentorship, and some fun as we discuss relevant topics in and around our wing. Please understand that the views expressed in this podcast are not necessarily the views of the U.S. Air Force nor the Air Force Reserve, and no endorsement of any particular person or business is ever intended.
Welcome to another episode of the Sword and Shield. I'm Chief Master Sergeant Christopher Howard, 960th COG Superintendent, and today with me I have
Colonel Don Kelley. I'm the commander of the 854th Combat Operations Squadron.
Chief David Solis, 854 Superintendent.
Senior Master Sgt. Ronald Enriquez, Combat Plans Division Superintendent.
Awesome, gentlemen. I appreciate you taking some time today, and I just kind of want to just go ahead and jump into it and talk a little bit about your unit. So, 854 COS, what does your unit do, sir?
Right. So the Combat Operations Squadron is really involved in a lot of different mission sets. So we support two primary customers, and I would say it's a premier unit in the Air Force Reserve getting after the national defense strategy on a daily basis, whether it's adversarial engagement or supporting our numbered Air Force. We are in a lot of different missions that make a difference every day in the defense of our nation. It's really fantastic. We do some of the named things we do are offensive cyber operations, defensive cyber operations, DoD information network operations. We do support some of the intel that the Air Force does, and we do some other activities that I can't go into here, but it's awesome. It's a really fun unit. It's a vibrant, dynamic unit to be in.
Right, and because of that level, you guys are considered a tier 2 type of unit, correct?
Right.
So you're looking for trained, qualified individuals to come in, so people with experience out there in the operational environment.
Right. So we're at the operational level of war, so not at the tactical. We do some of that, but it's primarily on the command and control, flying the Air Force network on a daily basis, which is it's kind of amazing when you think about it that way.
You guys support the 616th OC, right?
Yes. Right.
Okay. Which means you guys have your fingers in all of the pie, and really making the day-to-day actions happen, right?
We do. And so with the 616th Op Center, so for some folks who may not be familiar with it, it's a recent blending of the 624th Op Center and the 625th Op Center. So we have the Cyber OC and the Intel OC for the Air Force blended into the 616th Op Center. And we as a Reserve Associate unit support that blending. And it's really a fascinating thing to look at the precise point we are in the history of the Air Force and in the nation, going, wow, we've got cyber and intel together. And as we go forward, a couple of different mission sets, it's really an interesting juxtaposition of the two different career fields and watching how they blend together.
Okay, awesome. So you talked about career fields. What AFSCs do you guys leverage to support your mission?
So we have a lot of AFSCs here in the 854. And we're a mixture of 3 Deltas, 1 Ns, 1 Bravos. We have some 17Ss, 14 Novembers, a few 16 Golfs, and of course our CSS personnel, the 3 F5s, which really they kind of keep the glue together and make sure that all of our TR members are taken care of.
Okay, and you guys have that smattered out across your organization, right? So how is your organizations kind of built? You guys have work centers, you have divisions. What does that kind of look like?
So, Chief, we're broken up into approximately 10 different divisions. And within each one of those divisions, a lot of those AFSCs are sprinkled in. I forgot to mention that with information warfare, also known as IW, coming on board, there is a potential that we're going to bring in a lot more of those skill sets as well. So we'll be getting some new AFSCs yet to be announced, but those will be fleshed out, and we'll be seeking some qualified candidates to help us with our mission. So again, we're broken out to 10 different divisions. A lot of those AFSCs are in each one of those divisions, and our main focus as a Reserve Associate Unit to the 616 is to provide mission-capable TRs in the event of a crisis where they would call on us to surge into the OC.
Okay, and that's a lot of movement, right? When we talk about 10 divisions, a number of people. So what does the day in the life look like with such a large organization like that?
So the demand signal is pretty strong right now from the 616. They love us reservists being a part of that organization, and they're always calling on us to fill MPA positions. And so the day in the life really kind of just is really revolved around that, making sure that our members come in for their UTAs, taking care of some of the dedicated administrative things that they need to be done. But what's really unique in our unit is that we carve out special times each UTA that the members can practice their craft. And that's their mission qualification training. And then we actually will practice. We'll practice going through our planning cycle in the OC. So that way, if we're called upon, we can do it without hesitation, and that the RegAF has the confidence that the reserve can fulfill that mission.
Okay. So you talked about practicing that craft. Is that just through exercise and through training, or do we actually have seat time doing the mission?
So what's really great for our members is we do participate in exercises. Global Thunder, Global Lightning, Austere Challenge, Pacific Sentry. And when you really think about like what a TR wants when they join the reserves, it's that excitement, right? It's what they see on TV. I want to be in the military. I want to go and do things. And sometimes you don't get that satisfaction if you're in the OC. But what's really neat about us is that we can put our fingers on all those different exercises and get people out the door to experience different things globally and seeing that effect to a combatant that a combatant commander can provide.
That's one of the great things about it too, as well. So not just with the exercises, but with the day-to-day, even coming in on the UTA, or we have folks that are working Monday through Friday doing that daily support to the RegAF and to the mission,
right?
Practicing their craft on a daily basis.
Right. And, obviously not getting into any of the classified pieces, but in the past, you guys actually sent people to other AOCs, right, to support as part of the planning cells. And then you guys participated in other exercises. And I know that there's some other examples of where your members at the 854 are impacting national events and supporting national events throughout the year.
Right. Well, and also with the J Mission folks, so the Joint Force Headquarters Cyber Air Force, which is a mouthful, we have folks that are assigned in there. So that's where some of those 10 divisions are. And they are on a daily basis. And some of those are folks are on APA orders as well. But they are engaged daily with direct support to the warfighter. And some of them are the warfighter.
Right. No, that's one thing I love about cyber is the fact that we're fully engaged with the enemy every day. When our airmen come into the UTA, they are in the AOR. And your unit is one of those key positions, right, to support the AOR, to be engaged in the mission and help direct forces. So it's very exciting for me.
Right. Well, and one of the things that I would say about that is that some of the work, and we're working on trying to tell the story as well, just like we're doing with the podcast, is telling the story of what our airmen do on a regular basis and getting that to not just the wing commander, but to the numbered Air Force commander and General Scobie as the Africa commander, so he can go and tell General Kelley as the COMAC commander of ACC the great things that the Reserve Command is doing. And a lot of that is done here in our squadron. And that's directly going to COMAC, that is then also going to the combat commanders across the globe of how we as a squadron participate and make a difference on a daily basis. And a lot of times they go home and go, I can't believe that we get to do what we do on a daily basis. This is fantastic. And they pay us to do it.
Right.
I mean, this is great.
Yeah, no, there's nothing better than putting warheads on foreheads, right? Or making bad things happen to bad people. And it's one of the things that I really like about some of our mission sets, and specifically the 854, is that that impact is happening on a daily basis. And our reserve airmen, our citizen airmen, are in those seats making that happen.
Well, and that's a great thing that you bring up as far as also being the citizen airmen, is they bring such a rich diversity to the mission set, because typically when you're talking about active duty folks, they don't also work for McAfee or Symantec or FireEye or Mandiant or any of those other companies that are also have different perspectives. Or we have some folks that are working for the State Department or USAID, or some are stay-at-home parents, but they have different perspectives and they bring just a much richer diversity. So when you say, hey, what does this mission set look like? Well, I actually work that in my civilian job. Oh, you do? Well, teach us. We'll just sit at your feet and learn.
Right.
And so really that's one of the great things about the reserve.
Yeah, and you guys also leverage that too, right? As being part of the hub for some of our large force engagements, large force exercises, and you take some of that knowledge and you get it out to the other units, correct?
Correct. And that's a good point to bring up when we're talking about talent management and our reserve forces. We really seek the opportunity to bring other cyber weapon experience to the OC. So as a tier two level organization, we really couldn't do it without having operators that have other types of experience within the wing. So we're actively always seeking to bring people back into our organization.
Right. And we also cross-train other operational AFSCs on occasion, right, to make sure that we're getting a different purview, a more diverse background of operations so that we're supporting it holistically and completely, right? Awesome. So with the other piece that reservists really love about serving on a weekend is not just the mission set, but it's the airman development. So what do you guys specifically do to develop your airmen?
So a lot. I'm happy to say that in the 854, we're not just giving professional development lip service, we're actively doing it. Perfect example of that is we have a speed mentoring session that's going to go on this UTA.
Right.
So just like if you go into Baskin Robbins, right, and they have 31 flavors, not everyone can find... not everyone likes vanilla, right?
Right.
But maybe in a mentorship speed session, they find the flavor that they like, right? And they connect. And it's about making connections, right?
Right.
And so we're making that investment up front for our airmen so that we can prepare the leaders of tomorrow now immediately. But it's not just at that, right? So at the tactical level, that we're getting after it that way. At the operational strategic level, though, we have other initiatives in the 854 right now as we speak. One of those that we are aggressively pursuing with the 616th and within our group is to create what we call a cyber training center of excellence. Sounds really, really exciting and weird and crazy all at the same time. Well, essentially what it is really a collaborative effort of all of our SMEs in one place so we can start doing some one-stop shopping and take a lot of the waste and grind that all of us locally within the JBSA community are actively doing on our drill weekends and consolidating that training into one place so that we can give back that time to our sister units, our group, or the 616th for that matter. How is that value added? Well, it's value added in the sense that if we look at the traditional ARC model, right, why does the reserves exist here today? Well, once upon a time, we were supporting airframes and teaching the active duty how to maintain airframes. Well, that was 20 years ago. That was where it came from.
Right.
And we're trying to get back to that business model where we as the reservists, the older hats, the ones who have the continuity, are there doing that training and helping the organize and equip piece with our active duty counterparts and within our own group and wing. So break from the strategic level, how does all this tie together? Well, ideally, us as a tier 2 organization, we want to get those graduated tactical level SMEs from all the respective weapon systems within our group or from active duty and have them come up to us as tech sergeants, right? And then we want to groom them into senior NCOs. And then we want to return them back down to those tactical level organizations because, wow, can you imagine what that's going to look like and how much more efficient we're going to be at executing mission, getting after our adversaries, and et cetera. So it's a very exciting mission. Like my exposure previous to this assignment has been all tactical in a whole different realm, combat communications and whatnot. This is very much tip of the spear, but a different type of spear. And it's super exciting to be a part of. And there's a very bright future, especially with the IW conversations coming online. We are trying to look at things differently from a different paradigm. We're not tied to AFSCs. We're tied to experience, and we're looking for people who are out of the box thinkers, right? Who are liking to challenge to the status quo, because status quo is not going to get us a victory with the adversaries that we face today. We need the out of the box thinkers, and we're looking for them. If you're out there listening, contact us, please.
Right. So, I mean, I think that's a great idea, right? And it's a conversation that we have as senior leaders, right, sir? Is, how do we look at that 3 to 5 year game, right? When we're talking about cyber being still fairly young, our wing commander talks about how we're still in our kind of, younger years in development and maturity. This is one of those key pieces that's going to help us look at what that talent pool is going to look like, talent management for the next 3 to 5 years, and put in together a development plan so that we can have individual units at the weapon systems rotate up to the OC, provide that tactical knowledge, keep the OC on point of how tactical TTPs are being leveraged, and then also grow, develop within the OC, and then go back out to those units and then provide both sides of that house, right?
Right. Well, and we also are working on painting a picture. Thank you for the training piece of it. And it goes along with the training is what does it take to get an airman, whether they're off the street or coming from active duty or from another career field, what does it take them to get to be combat mission ready? Right. And all those steps, whether it's 6 months or whether it's 3 years, looking at every piece and going, okay, this is what the step is, this is the next step, and being very intentional so as not to waste their time. Because what I don't want to do is have an airman get joined to the unit and sit for 6 months while we try to figure out life for the airman. I want to very deliberately say, okay, the plan for you for the next 6 months to 2 years is you're going to go to this training, you're going to go to this training, and we're going to get you qualified here. We're going to get you to sit on the position to get your crew certification. Then we're going to get you some more qualifications, and then you're going to get you're going to be proficient at it. And all those things that we're going to be doing is we're going to be spending dollars to buy mission readiness, and it's going to be deliberate all along the way. So it's not just, hey, who wants to go do something that sounds fun? It's going to be, this is where we're going. This is what we need you to do. This is what we expect of you. This is what you can expect from us. And this is where you can expect to be in the next couple of years. Does that look good for you? Is that where you want to go? And because we don't want to waste people's time either. If they don't want to go there in the next couple of years, then maybe we're not a good fit for them. But if they do, we're certainly on board and willing to get them there. And it's not just about so they can be a good airman or good troop or combat ready troop for our squadron. It's so they can be it for the Air Force. So whether we farm them back out to the group or the wing or to another unit in the Air Force, a trained, ready, or combat-ready airman to bring combat power to bear for the nation.
No, great point, right? And a couple of things that you really hit on there too is that time management piece, right? One of the death nails for all of our reservists is the fact that we have a short period of time. We have dedicated time, and we have a lot of requirements. So how do we balance that out? And I think that any unit that's kind of looking at that scheduling and being deliberate sets themselves apart, right? Because we hear horror stories on a regular basis of how UTAs are just pandemonium. So I love to hear the fact that we're getting after this problem set and really trying to focus. It's an AFRC issue. It's an ARC issue of how do we maximize that time on the minimum dollar. How do we maximize the training with minimal amount of time? How are we going to be innovative? And it sounds like, with this center of excellence, with some of the scheduling processes, that we're really getting after that problem set. So any TR that's interested in being focused and dedicated, it definitely seems like a good place to go. And it kind of lines up with the next thing I was thinking about asking you is, what's the future for your unit?
Well, so that's a great question. And the future is just getting better and better every day. So the RAGAF and General Hawk, as the 16th Air Force Commander, in conjunction with Commander ACC, are trying to really get after what is IW, or information warfare, information operations. How do you get into the adversarial space of really affecting outcomes? So whether it's a cyber platform or it's another kinetic platform or it's a non-traditional weapons employment, what does that actually look like? And so that's kind of wrapped up into IW. So I know when we had the Wing Leadership Summit recently, they came and talked about, well, IW is different career fields like OSI, public affairs, weather, just different career fields you wouldn't normally think of, doing adversarial engagement, and putting all those together and saying, okay, here's the mission space. This is what the ask is. How do we best get after it in the least amount of time? Because it's not a fight tonight. It's a fight now scenario. I mean, it's not, we are troops in contact. And so it's how do we best blend those? And so we've got RAGAF asking us, as a wing and as a squadron, what does IW look like? We want you to be the IW future for the Air Force. And so a lot of folks are looking at our squadron and going, hey, let's define this together. And so it's a learning adventure. It's a lot of questions we don't know the answers to.
Right.
RAGAF is still trying to figure it out, but we're working with them and trying to be good partners and really getting after not just information warfare, but working with the NAF or the 16th Air Force. And Senior, do you have anything you want to add to it?
Right. So, currently we're looking at all of our responsibilities in the 854, and there will be a massive readjustment. Some areas are going to grow, some are going to get a little bit smaller, because this is not just a fixed organization. Cyber is very dynamic, and we need to change with that. So it could be something that changes every 2 years or every 3 years. Nobody really knows, but we're adaptable and we'll continue to meet that challenge.
Right. So to answer your question, Chief, is like, as far as the future of the 854, it definitely has one, and it's strong. So if you crave adventure and you adapt to change and you like change, wow, we've got a place for you. I really see our mission evolving greatly into areas that we've never gone before, which that's super exciting for the Star Trek folks out there. And then on top of that, we are the surge capacity for our active duty counterparts, right? So we have an embedded, no kidding, real mission underneath the surface. But I think the biggest staple in our diet as reservists moving forward is going to be providing that continuity and the subject matter expertise that the active duty is desperately looking for. That's where we're going to make a large investment in the future. That's where a lot of our recruiting efforts and hiring decisions are going to be focused moving forward. Right. And again, it's not about AFSC. We're looking for specific skill sets moving forward and moving out because we're recruiting for the future, not today.
Right. Yeah. And, to kind of pull a couple of the points each of you made, right? It is a dynamic environment, right? When we talk about cyber domain, it's ever evolving by the second. It's moving at the speed of technology, and technology is replicating and growing by the second, by the minute. And when we talk about domains, cyber is one of the only continuously contested environments, right? We are making troops with contact every moment, right? When we're doing cyber defense, when we're doing operational cyber, each one of those things are coming into contact with enemy troops on a regular basis. It's not the traditional way of looking at it, but we have to be dynamic. We have to be innovative. We have to be flexible, to meet the demands of our leadership and to meet the demands of our national security. So I definitely think that you guys are on the precipice of potentially making a lot of changes to meet that demand, right? So it's exciting, that's for sure.
And we're also fighting through the bureaucracy of it, of how do we actually make this thing productive at the end of the day. There's a lot of paperwork that goes on the back end, and my perspective is, what's in the best interest of the airmen? Why is it taking so long? What can we do to, cut out paperwork or signatures or anything along the way to get after getting airmen to be mission ready?
Right. Well, that is the B, right?
Yeah, right. Action order B. Let's go. Let's exactly. Understand why are there holdups, because there are, and there can be, whether it's issues with pay, whether it's issues, and if we're talking to reservists, what some of those issues are, and we are about getting after those and resolving them, because at the end of the day, there's an airman on the other end of that order or the pay problem. There's probably a family. There's people that are, you got your civilian employers. There's a whole lot of people that come along that aren't just our airmen that are affected. And so we're trying to keep them all in mind as well, because our airmen are, a national treasure, and they're also serving the nation in other ways, and we want to respect their time as well.
Right. I've heard it in the past, and I reiterate it often that the Air Force's biggest weapon system is the personnel, right? And then we have to take care and maintain that weapon system as much as we have to do each of the cyber weapon systems. So that's really good. So I definitely that kind of encompasses the accelerate, change, or lose, right? When we look at the ABCs that we're having to get after, it all puts it together. So that's phenomenal that we're getting after both of those problem sets. What else would you like to add, sir?
Yeah, no, great. And as you were talking about the families and things like that, really trying to leverage our Key Spouse program as well. I know we've had some Key Spouse support in the past. We've got a good, strong Key Spouse program now, and just trying to make it better because, again, there are airmen and families involved, and it's not just, hey, I'm going off to the job. It's, the sacrifices of the families as well. And so we definitely appreciate those and want to make those sacrifices while they still happen. We want to minimize the impact to their, kids or family members or friends or the support mechanism that goes along with that. And so I really appreciate our Key Spouse program as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Chief. Who is the largest squadron in the 960th?
In the 960th Cyber Operations Group?
Yeah.
I think it's a tie, but no, I think it's 854.
What about the wing?
The wing, looking at the numbers off the top of my head, you're definitely one of the largest.
You meant to say we are the largest.
Not necessarily. Anyways, but no, that, key point, right? A lot of opportunity, a lot of airmen, growth potential there. When we talk about leadership, both on the officer side and the enlisted side, being a tier 2 and one of the only tier 2s, we do have a couple others.
That was exactly the point I was trying to make. So career progression wise, we have room for growth for people who want to look at progressing in their career, whether it be officer or enlisted. We do have a large pool of officers, right?
And enlisted.
Yep. And a lot of senior NCO type billets, both full-time and TR. So I had to give the shameless plug for the recruiting efforts.
I would expect nonetheless.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, gentlemen, I do appreciate your time. I do appreciate the efforts that you're making on behalf of your airmen, and I appreciate you sharing your story, right? But most of all, I appreciate each of your sacrifices for putting that uniform on for our nation, for my family. And thank you for all the hard work that you put together for your airmen. And with that, to all of my gladiators out there, let's get out there, let's get after the enemy, and remember, stab him in the face through cyberspace.
Those scorpions.